the one particular volunteer summed it up for us. She said, "Oh, I am so tired. I am so dirty. I've never worked so hard in my life. And by the way, when can we do this again?"
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Rose Willard. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Welcome back to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Rose Willard, and today's episode is a powerful reminder of how service and entrepreneurship can go hand in hand. For this episode, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Leeann Moore, co-founder of Sister Corps, a nonprofit organization made up of women RVers who volunteer their time and skills to help communities recover from natural disasters and hardships. While her co-founder, Sherry Gibbons, wasn't able to join us for this one, her presence is felt throughout the story of Sister Corps, a project built on deep friendship, shared values, and an unwavering commitment to helping others. In our conversation, Leeann shares how Sister Corps got its start in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey back in 2017. She also gives us insight into what it takes to lead a volunteer-driven nonprofit and how emotional resilience plays a role in service work. We also talk about the challenges of fundraising, building trust within teams, and the unique power of showing up, even when you don't have all the answers. If you've ever wondered how your RV lifestyle could intersect with meaningful service, this episode is definitely going to inspire you. So settle in as we get started with this conversation right after this brief message from our sponsor.
Bid farewell to the stress of travel planning with RV Life Trip Wizard. This feature allows you to customize your routes, avoid potential hazards, and even discover the best campgrounds based on real user reviews. It's not just about reaching your destination, it's about enjoying the journey. And with RV Life Trip Wizard, every journey is effortless. Learn more about this game-changing feature at rvlife.com.
Leeann Moore, welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here today. You and the incredible women behind Sister Corps, they are doing such meaningful hands-on work, responding to disasters, helping communities in crisis, and creating this beautiful spirit of service and sisterhood. But beyond that, you and your co-founder, you have built an organization that operates with the heart of a nonprofit and the brain of a business. And today we get to peek a little bit behind the curtain, which is awesome. But before we dive into the entrepreneurial business side of things, let's start with a little bit about your personal journey. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I am retired, but it's hard to tell that now because I work 60 plus hours a week doing this wonderful work by choice. I think my background as a professor, a dean, and a teacher is part of everything I do. I pretty much always had this organizational planning side of me. And in my other part of my life, I manage a family farm and ranch. It's a historic farm. It's been in the family 125 years. Well, I retired a number of years ago, and I'm one of those people that retired with a plan of being busy or busier than ever. I did not retire to do nothing, and I did get that desire fulfilled for sure.
So how did you first get into RVing, and what does that kind of look like now for you?
Well, I did not grow up in a family that was campers, but I always sort of envied that look. I think I talked my dad into one RV trip when I was in high school, and it didn't work out so well. But as I was raising kids and looking at the future, I thought that would just be what I really want to do. So, really got into it big time when my husband and I started out with a fifth wheel, and we've had a couple of motorhomes, and I'm in the vintage trailer world as well. So we have a vintage trailer and a motorhome right now. and love to be on the road and love to go.
Fabulous. I absolutely love that you're on the go, you're doing this, and it works very well with Sister Corps.
Yes,
So
it
you
does.
said and you're retired now. So explain a little bit, or actually tell us a little bit more about Sister Corps and some of the work that you do.
Okay, well, I probably should start with where we started. I'm a member of Sisters on the Fly, which is a large international, particularly national women's camping group, outdoor adventure group. Joined that in 2011. And we focus on all sorts of activities, but largely fun and adventure and trying new things. Sister Corps was something that just happened when Hurricane Harvey hit the Texas coast in 2017. We had, as Sisters on the Fly, had not done anything like this, but Hurricane Harvey brought out something in me that I didn't even know was there. My career was always serving people and being in a people profession. But when Harvey hit, it hit near Corpus Christi in a town that Sisters on the Fly had camped in a lot. It's a charming little fishing tourist village in Texas called Port Aransas. And it's hard to explain this, but I have never felt so compelled to go do something to try to help people of this nature ever. But it was all I could do not to just get in my truck and go. But I had enough sense to know I could not go. Even the residents couldn't be there. They had limited hours. They could be on the island. But there were 2 or 3 others in Sisters on the Fly that felt the same way. So within just a day or two, we started planning to go there as soon as we could. It was going to be a Sister on the Fly event. In fact, it was that. Initially, we couldn't find a place to even put our trailers except a parking lot. The mayor of the town said, well, you come help, we'll put you on a parking lot, but you will not have water or electricity. And it'll be about 8 weeks from now. So we organized this real fast. We actually even named Sister Corps that week because we had to have some kind of name. And we're sisters, and it was a combination of the Marine Corps and the Peace Corps, which is quite a combination, by the way. And by the time the 8 weeks went by, we had an RV park that opened. So we went from 50 women who signed up to be on an asphalt parking lot with no utilities to 93 that came from 18 states to just come help muck out a town that had been hit with disaster. And we literally did debris. We did 33 properties and some of the nastiest, hard, disgusting work that you can imagine. And I think when it ended, my favorite memory of how that week ended was the one particular volunteer summed it up for us. She said, I am so tired. I am so dirty. I've never worked so hard in my life. And by the way, when can we do this again? And that was the feeling of most of us, that we have never given of ourselves in the way to strangers in the way that we had given that week. And that's where we started. That was it.
That is so amazing. That's so rewarding. I absolutely love that work. Yeah. That really makes you feel like you did something. And
well,
for someone
we did.
Else.
And of course, at that time, we said, well, shall we just sit around and wait for the next disaster? No, let's not do that. Let's look for a state park to do a trail cleanup, or let's do something that we can help people, because we don't want to wish for a disaster so we can have this great feeling. I think our third project we did a few months later, we floated down a river in Texas. It's a high tourist river. We floated down it, which was fun, but we cleaned the banks of litter. We had big bags and we cleaned up that river. And then the hurricane started hitting, and then we got back in business with disasters.
Wow. So when Harvey hit there, and you did all that, I guess that was really that point, like you said, it was just this, we have to do something more. We need to create a nonprofit. Is that right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We didn't see the nonprofit coming until the second hurricane, which was in Florida a year later. And we had so many people wanting to donate to help and to approach businesses, and just generally for business purposes, it was clear we needed a nonprofit. And that's what happened. And at that point, of course, we became officially Sister Corps. And as a nonprofit, we had to sort of break to some degree from Sisters on the Fly, because that's a business and you have to be very careful with your finances,
Yes.
your decision making, your board, etc.
Yes,
So,
yes. Now, there's a co-founder, right? Sherry Gibbons.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
you met through Sisters on the Fly, I believe, correct?
Correct. Yes, correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, your background in like teaching and organizational leadership for many, many years, that probably really helped and influenced kind of how you built Sister Corps, right?
Yes, it did. I think it did a lot. Yes.
Yeah. And then Sherry, what was her background?
Sherry was in the bank business and I would hate to misrepresent her, but I believe she did bank examinations across the country. Yeah.
Wow. So that's helpful as well.
Yeah, she very much has the left brain side, and I have somewhat left, but I have to work at that. It's My the other side of me that is interesting that came into play. I have a PhD in organizational leadership, and you have, at one level you have academic knowledge, and then you have to have applied knowledge. And I know that I bring a lot of that into what we're doing, the policies and the laws and the working with people.
Yeah, that's a lot to manage. So quick go over the mission of Sister Corps and that kind of that model and your vision.
Yeah. Our mission is that we mobilize volunteers. We provide recovery efforts in areas that are afflicted by disasters, natural disasters. We have environmental relief and other community needs. And I'll explain that community needs in a bit. We are an all-women group, which makes us unique in the disaster organization world. We have really no membership as requirement other than to be over 18 and be a woman. We are not connected to any religious or political group, so we just are out there with a group of women who want to do good for other people.
Yeah, simple but very effective. Like it works really well.
Yes.
So let's get into a little bit about the entrepreneurial side, the business side. Running a nonprofit still means running a business. Can you give us a little more insight? Yeah, a little behind the scenes where kind of that keeps this organization running smoothly and effectively?
Well, we look back to our 8 years now, and we think, had we had a clue what we were about to do, we probably would have been a little scared. But we didn't know that this was going to be a nonprofit. We didn't know it was going to be, 8 years later, 95 projects under our belt. We didn't know we would have hundreds of women that have stepped up and volunteered. So I'm saying that because where we started as a business has evolved significantly by just being a board that's willing to be flexible. The best thing that we have going for us, and we have since the beginning, is a strong group of women as a board of directors who are thoughtful. We do not always think alike, but we do respect each other, and we do communicate well, and we come to consensus on things. So from the standpoint of running a business, that's critical. As a working board, we have jobs, we have roles, and we know what those roles are. That's also critical because we're all volunteers. Running a business is different in that from what we do because we have no paid staff at all.
Okay.
So it's very different when you don't have people working 8 to 5, when you don't know where they are.
Right. There's not that obligation like
Yes.
financially.
Yes, there have been times when I thought, oh, if I could just have a staff that I could call together right quick. But we have learned to find the best people to fill these opening positions. When a position comes open on the board, we've taken a very thoughtful look at what is it we need? What gap is here now that needs to be filled? We have had things happen in our existence that I don't think happen in a business. For example, we had just formed a nonprofit when a woman called who had volunteered at our first project. And she said, we were going to Lake Charles. She said, I can't come to Lake Charles, but I want you to know, you may remember that I'm an attorney. And I said, yes, I remember you were. She said, well, you probably don't know, though, that I specialized in nonprofit compliance. Oh, my word. What did I latch onto her immediately? That was just so great. So we have this volunteer who is an attorney who watches out for us.
That's great.
We've had similar things happen. We've had CPAs just show up. We've had we have an architect who's one of our best project directors, and she has an expertise in codes, building codes as well. We have a woman that taught for 29 years construction trades management who just called us to want to be involved. And we have a medical doctor that retired early and is our medical director. So what I'm saying about that is running a business, running a nonprofit as a business, you've got to look at what is it that you need to have for the collective knowledge, the collective expertise. Because no one person sitting in the president's position or vice president or any other position could possibly have all those pieces.
Right. You need a team. You need all your sisters there.
Absolutely. Have to have that team.
Yeah. So.
And then you start saying, okay, what do we need to do to be able to communicate?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What kind of systems or tools kind of help you manage like all this, not just within the members, but communication within the volunteers and logistics and the project planning? You have lots of members. How many do you have now?
Well, since we don't have membership, that's a very challenging question. We have.
Okay, hold on. I mean board members, the ones that
board
are
members. We have
behind
9.
the scenes. Okay,
I'm sorry, 9. And we have a non-voting group called Advisory Panel of about 20. These are people across the nation that we can call on. They're people that we've learned, volunteers that we've learned through our work, and they just help us. We can call on them to do things for us or answer questions, give us information. When you ask about systems, when we started, we had no money. We went to Port Aransas with some gift cards and I think maybe $2,000 at best of money that had been sent to us. And so for the first couple of years, it was, can we get $6,000 or $7,000 together to go do work in Florida? Well, I'm saying that because we could not afford a webpage. We have people donating across the country that are donating $25, $50, maybe $200. And of course, it's gone up now that we have established a good reputation. But for the first 2 years, we were not going to spend a donor's $35 toward a webpage when we wanted it to go toward the person that was out of a home from a hurricane.
Very smart. That was smart.
Just couldn't do it. We just didn't have the heart to do that. So we managed to get a first grant that gave us enough money to get a web page through which we could communicate. And then we've managed now, we have a decent budget. It is on our webpage. It's an open document. We still rely almost entirely on donors. We now have Teams. We use Teams for our internal Microsoft Teams. We have not only the web page, but we have attached to it a volunteer management platform through which our volunteers sign up. And we have one of our board members is donor management, and we have purchased a donor management platform for her that definitely pays for itself in terms of us being able to track our donors, thank them, keep them informed. And we, of course, use QuickBooks. I think you were asking me what kind of programs
all
we
kinds
use.
of systems, programs, any little tips. Yes, that will help.
All those things came about gradually as we could afford it and as we saw we had to fill that need.
Right. Yeah. So, and now let's talk a little bit. So real quick, where can we find this website? What is your website and how can we help?
Our website, there's only one unusual thing to have to remember. It is sister-core.org. For URL purposes, we had to take a hyphen in between sister and core. And that is core. Sometimes, there's got to be an S on core. But sister-core.org. And we have a public-facing Facebook page as well.
Okay.
We would invite anybody to join those. We're on YouTube, Instagram, pretty much the run.
Right. And they can donate if they can't be involved physically.
Absolutely. Right. Yes. And if you have a business and you want to donate as that kind of sponsor, you certainly can do that. Communicate with me initially. And we have some commercial donors, sponsors that we are acknowledging on our webpage.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes for sure. Let's move on to the women, the volunteers, and logistics a little bit. You coordinate these all-women volunteer teams who spend their own time and resources kind of helping others. First, what have you learned about leadership and resilience from these women?
Most of these women have had a professional career in such a diverse range of things. Almost none of us came from the world of construction, though. They are women like me who, upon retirement, still had a lot to give. Much vitality left and much desire to continue to make a difference in the world. While they still like to camp and have RVs and they do that, they want to carve out time to give back. We welcome any woman over 18, but because women in their 40s are typically either career-oriented or are raising families in their 30s and 40s, to be quite honest, the majority of us are over 60. And we have some really wonderful 40s and 50-year-olds, and they fit in terrific with us because we're all very young-minded, even if the years say otherwise. But I have learned that, and many of our people that we've helped have learned, do not make a judgment based on the age of a person. We have a great story. We had a man in Florida we were helping. He was self-admittedly, he's on one of our videos. He's over 80. I think he says he's 82. And he's pretty funny. He says, I'm going to admit it, I'm a chauvinist. And they told me a bunch of women were coming to help me. And I thought, oh, shoot, what can they do? And the pickup drove up and 5 women got out, most of whom had graying hair. And he said, I'm going to tell you what, those women got to it. He said, I have never seen anything like that in my life. They worked harder than I, ever could have expected.
Right.
Age is irrelevant, totally irrelevant. We have 3 over 80 that work with us.
Wow.
We have something for everybody. We have meal teams and we have clerical. So one of our women that was 78 running a jackhammer.
Wow.
Yeah, age is irrelevant. It really is.
That's awesome.
So that would be definitely something to learn. We have projects where if you're available and you sign up, then the next project that comes along, you may already have a plan. So part of what I've learned is because we're working with retirees for the most part, they come when they can. Yeah. We may not see them for a few months, and we have some that come every time they can, every time there's a project.
And you said you have about 22,000 members now?
No. We have probably 3,000 that are on our page as supporters, donors,
okay.
or volunteers. We've had about 1,000, 800 to 1,000 that have actively been part of one level of a project or another.
Yeah. I'm not sure where I get that number, but okay, that's still fabulous.
There'll be a day. Quite honestly, Rose, I know there's going to be a day.
I believe it too. These women are amazing.
Our projections of where our growth has been and where it's likely to go. And I think we're just at the front edge of something fabulous.
For sure. For sure.
We're empowering women to do things with tools that they want to learn, that they've not, some of them ever felt like they had the chance to learn. And I think we have tapped into something that we've almost tapped into a second mission statement that we were not expecting, which is that we're serving women to empower them to do these bigger things.
Right. Yeah. So what happens if like no one knows how to do a particular job? Like, do you find someone with that expertise? You figure it out, or you contract it out? What do you do?
Yes, pretty much all of that.
Okay.
We haven't had that happen much, but let me say we do have three things that we do not do. First of all, we went from debris, largely a debris group, to light construction now, largely light construction. But we make it clear we do not do electrical, plumbing, or roofs.
Yeah, I can see why. Yeah.
Yes. We have that special training, it's certifications, it's insurance, it's inspections. And
it's complicated.
It's very complicated. Now, we have a couple of electricians that have joined us. I've learned that's dangerous to ever say never, but we don't do those things. Now, we have taken a wall off of a house in Dawson Springs, Kentucky. We were drywalling a house and took an old drywall off and saw the most frightening electrical wiring behind it that should have never been there. Well, we're not going to put drywall over that. No. So we called in a local electrician, subbed him out, and he repaired the electrical.
Yeah.
So we will find a way to fix that problem. Or there are things that we have to tell people we can't do. I'm sorry, we can't do this house. It has unmitigated black mold, and we cannot put our volunteers in this house. So that's just part of, hard to answer that question until a problem arises. But for the most part, we have some really good, well-trained people now that can do most of the things that we, by our policy, allow ourselves to do.
Yeah. And so the funding for this, I mean, you're a nonprofit, so people are donating.
Yes.
What other ways? I mean, their time, but like by now, after 8 years, it sounds like you have enough to kind of keep yourself going. But in the beginning, that's so hard.
Oh yeah, in the beginning, it was scrape to get
all your own. Yeah.
Yes. We've had some really magnificent things that have happened. We had a group working in Kentucky in a very poor part of Appalachia. And a local person there had connections with the Nashville music world. And one of those Nashville musicians came through, I think, and learned about us and came through and did a fundraising concert for us in Nashville, Jamie Johnson, and gave us a large chunk of the concert. But those just come along. We still rely heavily on our donors.
Right. And the more you grow, the more people hear about what you do.
That's right.
These people are just, correct. I feel, naturally drawn to what you do.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And we have some that donate regularly. That's wonderful for budgeting, that we have regular monthly donors.
Yeah.
But we are very proud to say that two agencies that vet nonprofits based on their transparency, they look at nonprofits, the mission statements, their 990s for the IRS, and they evaluate their expenditures up against their mission statement and their transparency. And we've got the highest ratings from two of those. That helps a lot because we want above everything else to be seen as ethical, and true to what we say we're doing.
I read in your 2024 annual report that Sister Corps reported over $600,000 in contributed volunteer hours in 2024. Okay. That's incredible. How?
Yeah. So, so let me explain how that works. 2 years ago, we got approved to be part of the national program that came out when Bush #1 started the Points of Light. So it's like, 40 years old now or 30. And it recognizes volunteer service across the country. You have to, as an organization, apply and be approved to be a group that can do that. You have to have a way that you keep track of volunteer hours, and then you submit those. Well, we have done this for 2 years now, so we get recognition, which our volunteers don't work for that recognition, but it is very satisfying to me to be able to say we had 45, I think, this year that worked over 125 hours in the year. We had up to 1,000 hours of work by individuals. And as in that program, the government has established a formula by which you value volunteer work. And I think it's up to around $33 an hour for what we do.
Okay.
And so when you submit, this organization did X amount of hours this year, then that translates into over $600,000 of work. So had it been hired out by somebody, that's what we gave back in free labor.
Got it.
We have now reached over $1 million in our existence, $1 million of valued work.
Wow, congratulations. Wow, that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And it's the kind of data that a donor likes to hear, I think, or a granting agency needs to hear.
These people really want to be there and volunteer their time. It shows. Yeah.
They do.
And how do you keep these volunteers engaged and avoiding burnout and keep coming back? I know it's kind of within them, but there's got to be more to that.
When you ask that question, I have to stop and make sure we are avoiding burnout. I think because it is volunteer and they can sign up if the project, the location, the work suits them, then that's their choice. Our projects are a week to 2 weeks. The 2-week project has a mandatory day off in the middle of it to do some refreshing. One of the challenges that we have in some of our projects is not the physical exhaustion, it's actually the emotional exhaustion.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
There is. Sure. There's a really emotional labor to what we do. And that is, one of our policies from almost the beginning has been that if the homeowner wants to talk about what they've been through, just put down the hammer and listen. Because if I'm in Houma, Louisiana, and the hurricane has come through and devastated everybody around me, I basically have nobody to talk to that didn't go through the same thing also.
Right. Yeah.
Now we show up as women. I think there is an advantage to our being willing to listen. It's what a lot of us do. And they have somebody they can tell the story to. We have some guiding principles, by the way. That's another piece of our structure, that in our orientation before every project, we go over some guiding principles. And among those are confidentiality and listening and no judgment. And there's 8 or 10, but we make it clear to our volunteers we are absolutely not there to judge their home, how they live. We see a house that it's a terrible mess. We don't know if it was that way before we got there or now. It's not for us to decide. It's their home, and they value that home and want to be back in it. So I think that emotional labor is one of the things we've tried to address in our volunteers. Yeah. We form teams among ourselves, and those teams do get very connected. Our team of, say, 5 women that are out doing flooring in the house. We come in at night. We have a communal dinner. We have communal breakfast, by the way. And besides going over business, it's a time to just share what happened to you that day and to kind of let some of it come down. We really don't have much time to play. They come in, they shower, they have dinner, they visit a little bit, and they're exhausted. But we encourage the talking among ourselves and having a team.
Yeah, very important. You take care of that mental side. You're taking care of each other. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got that big picture taken care of. I love it. And I'm sure they do too.
We've always taken a meal team with us. That's part of, I think, being taken care of. We started out taking a meal team because there were places that you just couldn't expect people to have to work all day and then figure out what they were going to do for dinner.
Yeah, that's so helpful.
But the meal team, they make everybody feel so treated well. Yeah, we value that. We also take a medical team with us. We've always taken a medical team. Not that we have injuries at a serious level, but we want to be prepared in case there is anything. We want to value our volunteers enough to say, we have a highly trained medical person here that can check out your scrate, your breathing issue or whatever.
That's so important for those volunteers, to feel like they will be okay. You know, they can do their job and not worry about food or if they get hurt. Like it takes such a lot off their mind about that, and they can just help out.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. So how do you identify the homeowners or communities that fall through the cracks, let's say, and need help? You know, maybe they don't have insurance or can't get the traditional assistance.
Yeah, excellent question. Well, there are two ways that we might show up at a location. One happens less than when we were new. When we were new, it would be, we heard there was a hurricane in Lake Charles, and we reach out to see if we can be of help. Now we actually get contacted more, that we've gotten a name and we're known. Houma, Louisiana actually was a different one yet. I happened to be listening to, I think it was NPR, and they were interviewing the chief of the Houma Nation just within a week after, and I don't remember the hurricane name, but, and I was just hung on his every word because he was not getting help. The Houma Nation is a non-recognized Native American tribe, and he was just heartbroken. And that's why we went to Houma. Once let's say we're going to Black Mountain, North Carolina next week, actually. And that came to us by North Carolina contacts who reached out and said, could you possibly come to North Carolina? Oh my gosh, the work that was needed there was just astounding.
I bet.
And still is. So we have to have a couple of things in place to go forward. We need a local person that can be our runner. Find an RV park for us, or find a church that'll house us, or someplace where we can lodge. We need a local agency that's going to vet the homeowners, because we're not there, we can't very well do that. And anytime there is an emergency at this level, there is some agency in the community that takes over. Some take over in the beginning. It may be a church or a community center. And then when FEMA or another larger agency comes in, they work together. We want to make sure that we're helping the people who need the help. So we rely on that local agency to have done an intake, have identified the families that own their home. We can't very well work for landlords who may or may not even keep the place after it's over. So we want a homeowner. We want somebody who is uninsured or underinsured, or through some circumstance cannot get their home back in order. We like to help the elderly or people who are in a circumstance that just really need us.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a homeowner and you've had insurance all your life, you think, who wouldn't have enough? Why wouldn't?
Right.
Why would they not be in a better position? Well, I'll tell you, there's some circumstances that we've come across that were hard to imagine. But if you live in a high hurricane area, you may have a deductible that is an enormous percentage of the value of your house for just to get the deductible. And we were working in an area in Louisiana. There were 2 named storms in 6 weeks, and people were having deductibles on each of those. They might have a $30,000 in deductible on a $70,000 valued house. And, we just can't. We just sometimes can't imagine what somebody else's circumstances are.
Yeah.
So those are the people we're trying to help.
Yeah.
And,
that's awesome.
And it's the best feeling. It's truly a wonderful feeling to have the
make a difference. Yeah. So I'm going to sound a little facetious here, but so why Sister Corps? What sets you guys apart from other volunteer organizations, right? Like there's so many out there, right? But why Sister Corps?
Well, next week, in 3 weeks, I'm going to a national conference for disaster organizations. This will be our 3rd year to be there as an organization. And it's the national organization for such work. And we are the only one there that is all women. And that's become our niche. And, we have early on, somebody said, well, can't I bring my husband? We could get a lot more work done. And I said, well, I could take mine, and we would also, but we are going to show what women can do. And we're going to bring some element that is not there when it's largely the men.
Yeah.
We, as I mentioned earlier, we have that mission now of empowering women in a way they haven't empowered. I love my husband, but he has to work not to take the power tool from me if we're working on something. It's just,
Yeah, they just kind of want to take over sometimes.
Yeah, they do. And so and by the way, we have quite a training program now for raising the knowledge among women who have not had that experience with power tools. So we have carpentry classes in between projects. We have a woman that's the drywall teacher, and we have requirements. You can't run a chainsaw unless you've had chainsaw safety class. So we're raising that standard of knowledge among us. That's one of the unique things about Sister Corps. And as I mentioned, the put down the hammer and listen, that has made a place for us that is not necessarily there in some of the larger groups.
I feel like women naturally kind of want to listen more. I mean, especially if you've had kids, right? You listen to your kids, you take that time, you're a little more patient.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
There's some interesting parallels that I've just noticed. One of our best carpenters is a phenomenal quilter. Well, when you look at what you're doing, you're measuring, you're piecing, it's spatial.
Yes.
And the other just phenomenal carpenter is the woman that retired as a medical doctor. She's just
perfect.
Yeah.
So I want to get into running a business a little bit more, the entrepreneurial side of it. It's not all rainbows and unicorns all the time, right? Like, what has been one of the challenges that you faced running Sister Corps, and how did you solve it?
Structure and protocol. We're not a club. We've come from that world of being more like a club. We're volunteers, so you think, well, you have volunteers. You surely don't have a lot of structure. You expect, oh, yes, we do, because we're running power tools, because we're trying to repair somebody's home. So we've had to develop policies and procedure manuals and an organizational chart basically on who reports to whom on a project. Those have been critical. Running a business, getting past what are we going to do next to what are we going to do in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. long-term goals, a strategic plan. We are a bunch of strong women, so it's working to say all of us, almost all of us, are type A women. But on a job, there is one person who's ultimately in charge of the job. And under her are different leaders that you would ask your question of, or if you take a problem to. So those are definitely things that are different about this, running this as a nonprofit business.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you have those clear jobs that separate, and everyone knows where they stand on that job. And
That's right.
So there's no communicate. I would think there's much less problems with.
We have this kind of running joke about stay in your own lane, because we as strong women want to jump in and do something that's somebody else's job, but we work on staying in our own lane. However, we have to have cross training. Nothing that we do should be known only by one person.
Right.
We cannot afford to have only one person know how to do our volunteer management program, for example, our platform. So that's kind of an interesting, stay in your own lane, but cross train. But you cross train only to be behind the person if they can't do the job. Yeah. And we will we have a goal ultimately of having a part-time executive director. So that is something we're going to ultimately have a big organizational cultural shift on when we have that, which may be 3 years from now. It depends on our budget, our well-being.
Yeah.
And
I was going to ask, like, where do you see Sister Core in 5 years? You started to kind of get into that. What kind of support would help get you there?
We figure if we can get to a point of maybe $500,000 financial end of year balance, or have that to plan for the next year, we could probably get a part-time executive director. Maybe, nonprofits don't really pay well, unfortunately, but we really have to get to that point. Oh, and another thing that we're having to move toward, which is a challenge for Sherry and me, is we're going to have to look at succession, a plan for succession, because at this point, both of us have been president and vice president since we formed. Honestly, think because nobody else wants to work 60 hours a week.
Right.
But we know that the time is coming, in which these reins have to be turned over to somebody else. So that's
a good point.
Challenge. It really is. It has been like having a child, having an infant. We really went through infancy, toddlerhood.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're raising that child to be independent and to go off on their own. But today's not the day.
Today's not the day, but you're thinking about it. So that's good. And planning. Are you looking for any other help, like business-wise, social media help, grant writing, anything like that?
Probably one of the biggest needs we have right now is a social media manager, somebody who can be our content, help us with content and scheduling, keeping up with posts. That I had no idea how that could be such a time-consuming and important position.
Yes, it is.
It is. And it's important because all our management work our marketing work that we've done says you've just got to be visible out there.
You do.
We had a great gift about 3 years ago. One of our volunteer supporters, anyway, teaches management. At that time, she was with Loyola, teaching graduate marketing. And a graduate class took us on as a project. So we had some real good analysis about our marketing. We're now working with another group, and we've recently retained a videographer and an editor who's in graduate school for video filmmaking, trying to get our word out so we get more donor support. Yes, so social media, that's a big one we need right now.
Yeah. A lot of our listeners, a lot of our viewers, they're content creators or do social media work. So we will definitely put the word out here. and they can go, so they can go to your website. Is there a spot on your site for people like that who want to, this would be donation, correct? They would not be paid.
Yeah. Yeah. We could look at that. We of course hope to have a donation, but as with some things, you have to acknowledge somebody's expertise and honor that. And so we're trying to move into that world a little bit more. Easiest contact to make right now would be to just email me, president@sistercorps.org.
Okay. And I'll put that in show notes.
Yeah, that would be the most direct contact, because on our page where it says volunteer, it's really not set up for something that way. There is a place, I think, on our webpage that says for more information or contact as well.
All right. Speaking of all this, the RV Entrepreneur does have a talent pool. So it's the rventrepreneur.com/talent. And it's where you can connect with other nomadic experts, or offer your own skills or vice versa. So if you're looking for, say, social media help for your, nonprofit, you can look in there and you might find someone. So that's another place that you could go, and our listeners as well. So I wanted to put that out there. Whew, this has been such a wonderful conversation. I love learning about this nonprofit. Do you think this model could be replicated? It kind of sounds like it's pretty simple. Yeah. So for listeners who are inspired, kind of what should they consider if they want to start a volunteer-based organization around something different, maybe like environmental aid or food security, or maybe the same?
As I said, I kind of got into this backwards after we were doing it. I started reading a lot about nonprofits. There's some really good books out about nonprofits that are easy enough to read, but very helpful. I definitely would recommend somebody wanting to get into a nonprofit to do some of that homework first. Although I don't practice what I preach, which I just...
Yeah, you guys just jumped right in, right?
Jump in. That's kind of always been my philosophy.
Learn
jump
as you
in
go.
And figure it out. But
entrepreneurs,
you need a good board. In fact, to be a nonprofit, you have to have a board. I belong to several different groups online for nonprofit leadership. Those are very good to get into, by the way. And occasionally somebody new says, I've started a nonprofit, but I really don't want a board. Is that okay? Well, no. By state law, every state that I know of, you have to have a board. In our state, there's a couple of offices that have to be there. So you've got to do that kind of groundwork, because you're going to be applying to get this nonprofit rating from the IRS. And you don't just get it lightly. You've got to adhere to the rules behind it. So you need to know what those are. You need a good board to help steer you. And yes, you absolutely, there's the guidance out there to help anybody start a nonprofit in an area of need or that they're interested in.
I'm sure. So this is our final question here. What has been one of your favorite stories? I'm sure there's many, of someone you helped, something that really stayed with you?
Well, it's hard to narrow it down. I got to.
I'm sure.
Okay. We in Amory, Mississippi. This is something that people could see on our videos. In Amory, Mississippi, there was a couple that the local agency said, you might ought to go out and see them. And I'll just call him Charlie. That wasn't his name. Charlie. Let's just say Charlie and Wilma. Because nobody's helped them. And so our project director and her assistant went out. I didn't go on that initial visit. That's what we do in the first few days before our volunteers arrive. We line up these places. They were living in a house that you and I probably wouldn't have even entered, because that's all they could live in. The tornado had hit it and knocked it off of its block, so it was sitting all wonky at an angle. The roof it had been a year. It had been a year. The roof was covered with a second blue tarp, because the tarps will shred. And the plumbing lines had been broken, so they were living with little of the plumbing. They were in their, I think, 80s. and just an humble couple. And they said, well, we really would like some help, but everybody that comes just drive. It was not a pity party, let me say that. But he says, all the help that comes just drives on down the street to the next house. And, when you're in your 80s and you're not living comfortably, time is short. I mean, let's be honest. And why wouldn't they get the help they need? Well, he had many well-meaning people come in initially, and they'll bring in repossessed mobile homes or double wides or something, and it'll be maybe a nonprofit that's brought them in and will sell them to the residents at low cost. They're not. I'm not talking about the scammers. So Charlie had put in, I think, $12,000 to buy a double wide, put on the lot next to the house from one of these people. But then he was out of money. That was it. Had the house. It wasn't even put together, as double wides have to be attached together.
Yep.
Our hearts were absolutely with this couple. And we decided that we were going to do something unusual for us. Instead of doing 8 houses, we were going to do about 2 or 3 and put most of our women on that house. And within a week, we would get them in that house.
Wow.
And that house looked like an anthill. We had a team building a deck with a ramp because she could walk
in a wheelchair.
Yeah. She was headed to a wheelchair soon. We had others inside painting, doing the carpentry work, putting flooring down. On Monday, I was out there and met with a plumber. We had to hire a plumber to do the plumbing work on the house. He's about a 60-year-old crusty little guy, and he says, well, we told him he had to have the plumbing done by Friday at 5. And he said, I'm just going to tell you, there's just no way. Y'all are not going to get this house done by Friday. And it's just not going to happen. Man. And I said to him, well, you could be right, but I think you just said sick 'em to this group of women.
Yeah, and I was going to say.
I think we'll have it mostly. Yeah. If you could have said any better challenge, that's what he could have. Yeah. So he agreed he would do everything he could. He'd get out the next day and he'd start getting the plumbing done. And he got a friend involved with him. He'd bid us $3,800 to do the plumbing on his house. And we had to pay it to get it done. He came out Tuesday. He started working all day Tuesday. He gets to know the women. And on Tuesday afternoon, he says, well, I cannot take $3,800 when all of these women are here at their own money doing this work. So I'm going to donate my plumbing. And I've talked my friend, the electrician, to coming out, and he's going to do some of the wiring. Oh. And, tears are, it's tearful.
Yeah.
And on Friday, we have this house almost done. We had asked the couple to stay away until Saturday. And then Saturday at 5, they could come with their family, their extended family, their church family, whoever they wanted, and we would have a reveal. Oh. And we had another agency there, 8 Days of Hope, that had a warehouse of donations that we could tap into. And so we got bedding and window treatment, and we had this house completely flipped. Well, on Friday afternoon, this plumber says, well, I was wrong. He said, I've just never imagined that a group of women could do this kind of work this good and get it done in a week. Oh. On Saturday, we had everybody on our project, including the meal team, come out for the reveal. And it should have been an HGTV special because
it sounds like
this couple came into the house, and their entourage of friends and church family came in, and there's a video taken from inside the house where she opens the door, and we thought we were going to have a heart attack to treat because she nearly collapsed.
I bet.
In joy.
Oh, I've got chills. Oh my gosh.
It was I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes telling you this because that is what we do this for. This couple were changed by us being there. We can't change the world, but we can change it one family at a time. We can make a difference. We can show that people care about them. And they had a home. In fact, she looked over at the kitchen and she squealed, "Oh, and a refrigerator," because she had been a year without one. And
wow.
it was truly the most, what a day.
Yes, that was the best story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it's so hard to pick one, but that must be one of the
That's incredible.
ones that's a goosebump story.
Yeah. And you know, by doing what you did and saying like, we need this done by Friday and we're going to do it, you inspired others to do the same when they said, no, it's not going to happen. So how amazing is that?
The women laying the floor in there are having women step over them working to get to a bedroom to put curtain rods up or something, and
wow.
That's pretty incredible that you can work under those conditions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
We had a man in Louisiana that said, "Well, I don't even know these women. I don't know who they are or where they came from, but they are angels to me."
For sure.
And yeah.
Oh, Leeann. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
To tell our story, because it's truly,
of course,
a story of a lot of women, and I get to be the voice to tell the story today. But it's every one of those women that give up, and the people in their lives that support their leaving. They're leaving.
That's true.
Sometimes aging parents that they're taking a break from, and so it's a collective effort. It's a collective. It's a joyful mission.
For sure, and it's been an honor to share this. I am so inspired by what you've built, and I know our listeners will be too. So thank you, Leeann.
Thank you for the opportunity very much. And we hope to hear from listeners who want to do their own thing in a different way, want to join us, want to contribute, want to be a social media coordinator,
right?
Whatever.
Anything. You don't have to be an RVer, right? You can be a woman over 18.
Yes, probably 90-something% of us have RVs, and we stay in them on sites, but not all.
All right. Yeah. All right, listeners, you've heard it. You've probably been inspired. Please go out, go to their website, check them out. I know it would be much appreciated. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I hope you found this conversation with Leeann Moore as moving and inspiring as I did. Sister Core is such a powerful example of what happens when passion, purpose, and the RV lifestyle come together in service of something bigger. If you're looking for a way to give back while living on the road, or if you've ever wondered how your skills and time could make a difference, I encourage you to check out Sister Core and consider getting involved. Their website is sistercore.org. That's sister-core.org. And those links are in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in today to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. It really means a lot to us. Until next time, keep showing up, stay connected, and keep building something that truly matters, wherever the road takes you.
Ever found yourself lost in the middle of nowhere with no signal? With the RV Life app, that's a thing of the past. Enjoy reliable offline navigation, lane guidance, and turn-by-turn voice directions, ensuring you're always on the right path. Navigate the open road with ease and confidence. Visit RVLife.com to download the app today and start exploring without limits.